Hey guys, today I have a book haul to share with you. So let's get going. I have 20 books here that I would like to share with you guys. Some of these I think I've already read. I think there's just a few that I've already read, but yeah, for the most part, these are all books that I have yet to read, and I can't wait to get to them all. So up first, we have The Fork, The Witch, and the Worm. Rather reminiscent of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think. But yeah, this is by Christopher Paolini, and this is Tales from Allegasia, Volume 1, Aragon. If you aren't familiar with what this particular book is, this is just a little spin-off companion book to Christopher Paolini's Inheritance Cycle, and these are 3 additional short stories within that world that he set up. You know, those first books being Aragon and Eldest and Inheritance and whatnot, all those good books, the fantasy books about dragons and magic and whatnot. So yeah, this is just a little spin-off companion, totally unexpected as well. I was very surprised when I first saw this book, because I was like, oh my goodness, more books for that Inheritance Cycle, yay. I'm very, very excited. Yeah, it's just a very small, compact book, and it does say Volume 1, so I'm guessing he's planning on releasing additional material. I'm just very curious if he's planning on writing another series anytime soon, you know, besides this little short story companion. I'm just curious if he might write you know, another trilogy or something sometime soon, because that'd be really cool. He hasn't written anything in a long time since he did do the Inheritance Cycle. Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks. This is a World War I historical fiction, and it's just an epic love story, if you will. And as you can see, I have the edition that's the Masterpiece Theater classic edition, put out by PBS or whatever, with Clements Posey and Eddie Redmayne. It was a gorgeous miniseries. I really love the miniseries, and I've been dying to read the book, so I finally got my hands on this particular edition. Yeah, not too much World War I historical fiction out there. A lot of people tend to like World War II a lot, so anything with World War I, I'm always excited to get my hands on. And yeah, like I said, a love story, kind of tragic and everything. Should be perfect and right up my alley. Next up, I have a series of books by Diana Gabaldon, and these are all taking place in her Outlander series, but they're spin-off books focusing on the character of Lord John Grey, who makes his very first appearance in Dragonfly and Amber, if I'm not mistaken. Lord John Grey, you guys, oh boy, what a character. I love his character. He's just instantly likable and memorable. And yeah, when I found out that Diana Gabaldon had wrote off a series of spin-off books for him, I was like, hell yes, I gotta get my hands on these. So yeah, this first book is Lord John and the Private Matter. Then Lord John and the Brotherhood of the Blade. Lord John and the Hand of Devils. That sounds pretty frightening. And then this one is just simply called The Scottish Prisoner, which I'm going to take a wild guess that this one's going to have a lot of Jamie Fraser in it. Because, yeah, Lord John Grey and Jamie Fraser, I love their interactions and friendship with one another because it's just very unique. And yeah, I want to say Diana Gabaldon has another book that's part of this series, but I'm not quite positive. Diana Gabaldon just has so many friggin' books kind of tied into the Outlander series, and I'm trying to get my hands on all of them. So I'm hoping to get to this little spin-off series sometime in the near future, since I do love Lord John Grey so much. At the Wolf's Table by Rosella Pastorino. This is a book that I have already read and reviewed, so if you want to know more about my thoughts and feelings on that, go check that out. This is World War II historical fiction taking place in Germany, and it follows a young woman who her husband has been sent off to war. She goes to live with her in-laws, but then one day some Germans come up to her door and say, hey, Hitler's hiring some food tasters, and you're going to be a food taster for Hitler. So that's what she does. She goes in, she goes to eat food, and she takes that chance if she lives or dies. And yeah, this is just a really dramatic book, following a bunch of women who are food tasters to Hitler and the bonds they forge. if some of them become friends, some of them become enemies. And this is a book that I was a wee bit disappointed with. It wasn't necessarily bad. It just didn't really live up to everything I was hoping it would be. But it was still kind of a unique read. Reading about food tasters for Hitler, and yeah, just really about everyday Germans and everyday German women more than anything. You really don't see a lot of books focused on just everyday Germans during the war. Next up, The Night Tiger by Yang Zi Chu. I have previously read Yang Zi Chu's The Ghost Bride. I freaking love that book, so I was very thrilled when she came out with this book this year. And this has a really weird plot summary, so I'm going to see how well I can do, if I can give this book justice. This book follows a young girl. She's trying to pay off some debts that her mother has accrued. But yeah, one day she comes across a gruesome sight. And I think it's a severed finger. I want to say the gruesome sight that she witnesses is some sort of gruesome finger that is sent to her for some reason. Because then, yeah, there's also this tie-in with this little boy that he's an apprentice of some sort, and his master has gone missing, and he finds out that his master's finger's been severed or something. So yeah, this guy and girl somehow kind of become intertwined. Their stories become intertwined with this finger of some sort. There's some sort of greater mystery, some supernatural stuff going on. Like I said, I'm not giving this book any justice. It has a really interesting, intricate plot summary to it, so I do suggest going to Goodreads. But either way, I really don't care what's about. Yang Zi Chu's name on the book is really all I needed. Plus, it's a gorgeous cover. Next up, The Aftermath by Reardon Brooke, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is post-World War II in Germany. As the title suggests, the aftermath of what has happened in Germany, the things that have gone on. And yeah, the way this book is described, yeah, this man comes in, he's stationed to help rebuild Germany and get rid of any lingering things with Nazis and whatnot. And yeah, he's waiting for the arrival of his wife, and yeah, he's basically taken over this house of this German guy, essentially. And yeah, there's a lot more in the book, but yeah, that's kind of the basic thing. The aftermath of what has gone on in post-World War II Germany, essentially. And yeah, I know there was a movie for this released recently with Keira Knightley, which I would love to see. Yeah, definitely can't wait to get to this. The Children's Book by A.S. Byatt. This is historical fiction described as taking place through a couple different generations. It says it starts off in Victorian London and then moves into World War I and whatnot. And it's focused on a children's book author. I'm guessing a fictional children's book author within the confines of this narrative. And yet, like, there's some secrets and mysteries with this author and the books and her family and whatnot. It just sounds very chilling and atmospheric and probably really literary, if you will. Definitely can't wait to get to this. I've heard a lot of good things about A.S. Byatt, and this will be my first one, so hopefully it's good. The Huntress by Kate Quinn. This is World War II historical fiction, primarily focusing on a all-female bombing team. I'm guessing some women who fly some planes and drop some bombs is what it sounds like. I definitely can't wait to get to this. Just an all-female story, an untold story, I'm guessing, because I think it even says it's based on a true story, based off of some real people. Kate Quinn, I always really like her books. The Real Wallace Simpson by Anna Pasternak. This is historical non-fiction, and this is about Wallace Simpson, who married King Edward the... Oh, which Edward, you guys? Is it Edward the 7th? I want to say it's Edward the 7th. I might be wrong about that. Queen Elizabeth II's her uncle, her father's brother, pretty much. But yeah, this is a book that's trying to redeem Wallace Simpson, because Wallace Simpson has often been turned into a villain, and kind of the reason why King Edward, whichever number he is, you guys, why King Edward, why he abdicated and whatnot. So yeah, I can't wait to get to this. I really love Wallis Simpson's character on The Crown. Netflix is The Crown, so I can't wait to learn more about her and her upbringing. Queen's Shadow by E.K. Johnston, and this is a Star Wars spin-off book, and this is focused on Queen Amidala / Padme from the Star Wars movies, who's played by Natalie Portman. This sounds really great, you guys. I love Queen Amidala in the movies. She's just such an interesting character, and I'm really excited to read just a whole book about her. I know this book, it's like you're reading this book and you know there's going to be a rather tragic ending if you've seen all the Star Wars movies. But yeah, a gorgeous cover. I love this cover because, yeah, there's kind of, it's halved with Queen Amidala on one half and then Padme on the other. Just a really gorgeous cover. The Hunger by Alma Katsu, and this is historical fiction taking place in the 1800s, and it's about the infamous Donner Party. Basically a bunch of people who were traveling across America, right? Yeah, they end up going missing, and a lot of people in their party go missing, and kind of tells that there was a lot of cannibalism going on and whatnot. Like, you hear about the Donner Party, and it just brings up images of terror and mystery and creepiness and whatnot. And yeah, I can't wait to get to this. That sounds really, really interesting. I've never read a book about the Donner Party, and I don't really know too much about it other than kind of what you hear about it, about the cannibalism, if that's true or not. Yeah, even on the back of this book, it's comparing it to something like Dan Simon's The Terror, and that instantly grabbed me because I really love the TV series The Terror, so this should be right up my alley. The Missing Years by Lexi Elliott, and this is modern fiction, if you will, a mystery thriller, and it follows a woman who has received an inheritance in the Scottish Highlands. Her father has died, so she's going to deal with her father's estate and deal with it and whatnot. But yeah, some mysterious happenings are going on. Animals go nowhere near the house for some mysterious reason. And yeah, this summary is very vague. It's a very, very, very vague plot summary. But yeah, it sounds exactly the type of mystery thriller that I personally enjoy. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This is also a modern-day mystery thriller type of book, and it follows a woman who lives a rather reclusive life in her New York home, and one day she's looking out her window, and she's kind of spying on her neighbors, I guess, and she witnesses something she should not see. What exactly does she witness? Probably something weird that's rather unusual. Probably a murder or something. Somebody getting beat or knocked upside the head with something. Who knows? Any number of things that she could be misinterpreting through her window. But yeah, the plot of this is reminding me quite heavily of something like, is it The Girl on the Train? The Woman on the Train? I think it's The Girl on the Train, by Paula Hawkins, I think the author is. The plot summary sounds just practically identical to that, so I hope this book ain't too similar to that. I don't want to kind of read something redundant, you know what I mean? Either way, though, this book sounds really good. I've been really enjoying thrillers like this. Next up, The Devil Aspect by Craig Russell, and this takes place in Czechoslovakia in the 1930s, and it follows a psychiatrist who is newly arrived at an asylum for the mentally insane, and yeah, this asylum apparently holds some of the most notorious serial killers and murderers and crazy people, if you will. And yeah, in the meantime, around the area, there's like another serial murder going on. Yeah, this sounds awesome, you guys. Anything with historical fiction that deals with like serial killers, I get a perverse joy out of because it's just so eerie and creepy and just really great to read. And yeah, because historical thrillers like this, you know, the scientists can't really rely on modern day techniques like we have to solve crime nowadays, you know, so it's always interesting how they solve crime in like the 1800s or 1900s. So yeah, this sounds really awesome. And next up, Enchantée, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Enchantée by Gita Trelease. And this is a young adult historical fiction taking place in France, pretty much right there at the French Revolution under the reign of King Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette. And yeah, this young woman, she's fallen on hard times. She kind of comes across some dark magic, it seems, and she's trying to enchant herself to be rich and powerful and become a baroness so she can become part of King Louis XVI's court. And yeah, there's a lot going on in here. It sounds pretty awesome. I really like this cover. It's really pretty. And yeah, I've been digging a lot of French historical fiction lately, guys. So yeah, hopefully this is good. The Wolf and the Watchman by Nicholas Nut-Akadog. Oh my goodness, that is quite a name, and I've probably just butchered it, you guys. This is historical fiction taking place in Stockholm in 1793, it says. And yeah, there's a body that has wound up in a lake, and yeah, some mysterious things going on. So these two men team up to solve this series of crimes, it sounds like. Yeah, another mystery thriller in the historical fiction genre that I can't wait to get to. Sounds right up on my alley as per usual. And the last book I have here to share with you guys is The Island of Sea Women by Lisa C. This is historical fiction taking place on a small Korean island, following a group of women who are part of an all-female diving team for their village. And yeah, that's kind of all I know about it. It sounds really good. Lisa C. is just one of those really great authors you hear about, and I think I've read a couple things from her in the past. Can't wait to get to this as well. Sounds very exciting. But yeah, you guys, that is it. This concludes my book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed. In the comments below, any of these books that you guys want to read, have you read any of them? Just let me know your thoughts. Yeah, let me know if some of them are bad, so I know in advance. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.